You know that one thing that you wish you bought but you didn't? That thing that pops into your head once in a while and you are so disappointed in yourself for not just getting it? Yeah, mine's in Japan. When I went to Tokyo last summer, I saw this doll that I had been dreaming about for over 10 years and I didn't get her. Now, if you weren't a Nightcore listening, anime watching, Harajuku fashion nerd back in the 2010s, let me introduce you to the world of Pullip dolls. I remember stumbling across unboxings and reviews on YouTube, specifically the Angelic Pretty and Sailor Moon collaborations. Unfortunately, I was 11 years old, I didn't have any money, and I had limited internet access. So when I finally got to see a Pullip doll in real life last year, I was brought back to my childhood. The doll that I fell in love with is a Pullip and Angelic Pretty collaboration that was released in 2024. Angelic Pretty is a Japanese fashion brand that focuses on Lolita fashion. I used to dress very decora, so I feel like this collaboration just combined my two loves for dolls and fashion into one. Every day since I got back, I have regretted not buying her, and I've been eyeing eBay for so long. I told myself I had to suffer through the consequences of not fulfilling my childhood dream. However, I'm a person that has been blessed with the I can do that myself mentality, so I've decided to take things into my own hands, starting with sculpting an entirely new doll. When I was sculpting this doll, I wanted to make sure I paid homage to the big head and big eye dolls that we all love, like Pullip dolls, BJD dolls, and even Bratz dolls. If you've seen my other dolls, you know that they are quite tiny. They're 20 centimeters, and I knew I wanted this doll to be bigger, so I sculpted her with that in mind as well. In the end, she came out at around 40 centimeters, which was very nice to work with, especially when it came to sewing. But it was also nicer to sand because in the smaller dolls, there are so many tiny crevices I can't get into. However, I don't have any important things to say during this part of the process, so I'll be back when the fun part begins. When she was finally all sanded and strung, I gave her some body blushing and I focused on the hands and the arms because that's what you're gonna see the most of, since her legs will be covered in tights. Now for the face, I of course started with prepping her with Mr. Super Clear before I began blushing her and giving her some luscious lips. For this part of the face up, it is so important to remember to work in layers, starting with adding some small undertones like blue under the eyes or a yellow undertone on the high points. Even though it's not super noticeable on video, it is so nice in real life. Now I know you're thinking I'm giving this doll blush blindness final boss, but I will blend it out, so don't worry about it. In my defense, in the reference photos, she has a ton of blush, so I'm just giving her what she deserves. With a light hand, I started to map out where the eyebrows was gonna be, and I wanted her to have a soft and slightly worried expression because I don't know, I just find it kind of cute. I also defined the crease and gave her a light pink eyeshadow base. I made sure to buff it out before I added a lighter kind of cut crease situation. I honestly don't really know why I did this because later on I will be covering it with shimmer, so I don't know, but I was just going with the flow, I guess. Because her features are so light, you can't really tell, but I promise I'm drawing on some very thin eyebrow hairs. And then I went on to sketch out her eyeliner and bottom lashes. Because the original doll is a mix between both a Korean brand and a Japanese brand, I not only made sure that the face sculpt had East Asian features, but I also wanted the makeup to have some anime resemblance, especially 90s inspired, so that's why I decided to give her that eyeliner shape and give her more stylized eyelashes. And by keeping it a lighter brown tone, it isn't too harsh against the rest of the doll. Now, it's really hard to tell, but on the original doll, when you close her eyes, she actually has a lace pattern on her eyelids, and you just know I couldn't skip that because it's too cute not to add. I mean, just look at it, it's such a cute detail. I wanted her to have a bit more dimension, so I added white on the parts that I really wanted to pop out a bit more before I gave her white eyelashes. And yes, on the original doll the eyelashes are white. Watching this back, I realized that I forgot to film when I put on her glitter gloss on her lips and under her eyes. Oh well, but now her face is finished and we just need to give her some eyes. I printed these eye bases before I realized I had pink glitter eyes that were just perfect. They just needed that little bow, so I painted that on, and then I could finally give her eyes. She looks so cute, but she has a bit of a lazy eye, don't mind that. And now for the wig. I made the wig cap off cam with a stretchy light pink fabric so it matches her hair, and then I just glued hair wefts around her head, each layer getting closer together until I reached the very top, and then I could cut and style her bangs and give her those signature porcelain doll curls that we all love so very much. When making her dress, I decided to start with the sleeves by adding these ribbons, and then I sewed a gathering stitch and just gathered the top part where the sleeves will be connecting to the top. For the top part of the dress, I layered two different kinds of laces and sewed on. I took the front, the back, and the sleeve pieces and I sewed them all together right sides in. When doing this, I also added a ruffle for her neck. Off cam, I did the exact same thing again but with the lining fabric. Then I just had to sew them good sides in. For the ruffle part of her sleeves, I took an elastic and some trim and I sewed them together and just added them to her sleeves. Now for the main part of the dress, we will need 100,000 layers of lace and trim. I was sitting and gathering for I don't know how many hours. The thing that I didn't tell you guys about me making this doll is also that I decided to not buy any material at all. So every single layer of this skirt will be different. You see, majority of all of the lace that I use are from thrift stores, so it's not like I could go and buy more if I ran out. So I decided to take all of them and just go with it. And I feel like it added a bit more dimension to the dress. The original doll also has different kinds of lace, just not as many different kinds that I have. Here I'm just sewing the top part of the dress to the bottom part, and it felt like such a victory because I had been gathering lace for hours. Now I just had to bedazzle the dress with like 100 different kinds of bows, and it was so fun. The final touch of this dress was a gold pearl chain, and then the dress was finally finished. I also made these cute wrist cuffs. They were so easy to make, you don't need a tutorial. For her bonnet situation, I have this beautiful Blight doll and I'm just gonna snatch her bonnet and make a pattern out of it. Don't worry, I'm not gonna break it or take it apart. I'm just gonna trace it onto a paper and then cut the pieces out. I wish I had gone a bit bigger, but oh well. I was a bit of a woozy because I thought it was gonna take over her whole face and it didn't. And you guessed it, we're back to the never-ending lace, just layering and layering of lace again. Fortunately, it was rather quick this time, so after I was done with that, I just sewed the backing piece onto the bonnet piece, good sides in. I've just added the headband piece and I'm decorating it with lace and bows again. It was actually super fun to decorate this bonnet, especially with the double layered bow in the front and the smaller bows on the side. I also decorated it with some pearls and I added 2 hair clips on the headband piece so it wouldn't fall off her head. I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. Next up, we're using an old top to make socks. I really wanted to avoid making tights, so I just made the socks really high. For her shoes, I sculpted and 3D printed these shoe bases, which I decorated with pink ribbon and lace and all of that good stuff. Lastly, I added a bow and an ankle strap, and the shoes were basically done. And you know what that means? That means that the whole doll and all the pieces are finished. So let's dress her and see what she looks like.